Hi there, welcome to Isle Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Aries energy, and we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because it's a general reading about people in the world, and people have learned different lessons in life, and some people will harness this energy differently than other people, so we've all got our dualistic nature of free will we could align with, and some people do align with their more worldly nature or shadowy nature, some to different degrees than others. Some people can be very much about themselves, very much about ego or image or indulgence, self-centeredness, narcissism, whatever, try to manipulate and control people. Other people have kind of grown up and matured themselves, and they've kind of tempered their more egoic nature and don't even choose to live their life being in that energy anymore. They've just more grown and matured themselves. And so people will harness this energy differently, but at a core foundational level, what it kind of comes down to, are people open to giving and receiving love and treating other people the way they like to be treated? Love is supposed to be just and fair. And some people don't want to do love because you get hurt doing love. They'd rather be about themselves and their more self-protective, defensive nature. And that can be in shadowy fire sign energy, just kind of indulging yourself more in a relationship. And then those other shadowy aspects that people can have, right? You've either been enlightened to the truth and learned some lessons in life, or you haven't. So I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Three of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy, and it can kind of represent what foundation we more operate from. Shadowy Capricorn is represented by the Devil. Are we more, which can just represent all these things that manipulate us within ourselves and outside of ourselves. Again, our more worldly nature, fear, insecurity, pride, ego, lust, greed. Or have we freed ourselves from some of those things that manipulate us to be operating where we're not juggling the truth anymore and going back and forth about it? The truth is, love makes it all worthwhile. And if I'm going to be in job, friendships, or relationships, I want to be in jobs that I enjoy. I want to be in relationships with people that work together with me cooperatively, who are also have learned some of the same lessons I've learned and temper their more shadowy egoic nature to work cooperatively. Because then, at the end of the story, we have the Five of Pentacles, which can talk about, I want to work through these things that manipulate me. Periodically I look at my shit. What's manipulating me today? What's been manipulating me for the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? And we periodically look at those things so that we can see what we need to let go of, because we want to, in the Five of Pentacles, keep moving forward in life. Detaching from more immature ways of being, prideful, codependent, whatever, other people in shadowy energy. And it's kind of about learning these lessons to grow to our full potential. High vibe Aries is represented by the Emperor. And if you're really, the Emperor can represent how we are presenting ourselves in the world and action that we're taking in our life. And if you truly are a high vibe Emperor energy, internally, emotionally, you would be an Empress energy, which is being balanced within yourself, acting with truth and character and integrity, and you really are who you say you are. Other people like to go out in the world thinking they're like the boss and people should view them a certain way, but they kind of have more of a shadowy emotional nature where they could think it's just and fair to be more about themselves for these things of the world. And so, it's about learning these lessons and dealing with the truth. So, what are we starting out with in Aries energy? We have a card not showing itself, and the reason it came out is because of the King of Wands, so, which I view as Aries energy. The masculine cards can represent that people are operating more from their egoic nature, or they really are who they say they are. male or female. Again, the masculine energies kind of present how we are presenting ourselves in the world and action we're taking in the world. But because we don't really know how people think and feel, that's why, and when we do present ourselves in the world, it's considered masculine energy. But anybody can present themselves any way they want to in the world. I'm inspired, I'm attractive, I'm charming, I want to work together with you cooperatively, but then they don't, you know? Or they're really, if it's romantic, they're not really inspired by love, but they could be attracted to someone or just want to be in a relationship, you know? And so with some people in our life, we might not realize that we harness this energy differently. And we need to get to know people, and the King of Wands can represent that we're taking action in the world to get to know people, talking to people, trying to work together with people to move forward in jobs, friendships, and relationships. And then as we go, we get to know people more. We can find out if we harness this energy in the same way. But if that's kind of what drives and motivates us, and that's kind of our truth and the foundation we operate from, and in the Five of Pentacles and our Taurus energy, that's kind of our philosophy of life, we tend to think other people think the same way. They're driven and motivated by the same things. And then later we can find out, no, we harness this energy differently. But is it? The Two of Pentacles in reverse. So when a card is in reverse, it can kind of mean extremes or not. Well, in the upright, the Two of Pentacles could mean that people are balanced within themselves. Also, Capricorn energy. It can also, but in reverse, it can mean that they're not very balanced. They're tipped out of balance. And sometimes some people just want to, get a job, be in a friendship, get in a relationship to help them feel more balanced. We are social creatures. We like to be in friendships and relationships with other people, but some people can look to get in a romantic relationship just to help them feel more stable. Maybe a better idea would be friends with people and not get in a romantic relationship until you just feel more stable on your own. But sometimes that doesn't happen. And some people are still more caught up in their earthly, worldly nature that inspires them. And they're kind of more about those things, kind of tipped out of balance, making that more important in their life. And what they don't know about some other people is some other people aren't juggling the truth anymore. They're not going back and forth about it. They know the truth. They know they have freed themselves from some things in their life that they used to maybe juggle and go back and forth about. Not anymore. They're done. They have gotten clear about what their truth is, what they do want to invest their time and energy and effort into, and what they don't. And there is an old way of living life that they've detached from. They do not think that way, feel that way, view things that way anymore. Their philosophy of life has changed. And it could just be kind of being more inspired by these things of the world. Things I want to go indulge in or make my life about, or what I wear, or what I drive, or how much money I have, or blah, blah. They're just not, they're more inspired to keep moving forward. And let's see what else comes up in the story. So, some people could be hiding, they're out of balance. Other people are balanced, I would say, and they're moving forward in life differently. And from the 3 to the 5, there's something they used to be going back and forth about. They're not going back and forth about it anymore. They're moving forward. So then we have the Strength card and the Wheel of Fortune. And the reason that came out is because of the Ace of Swords. So I kind of view the Ace of Swords as it can represent all 3 of the air sign energies, which is Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius, which can be about, Gemini's about our free will. I align with this, or I'm more aligned with that. And Aquarius can be, I have this dream, I have this idea, of how I envision my life and my future and what I want to manifest. That's my truth. And then in our Libra energy, we think it's just and fair. Well, some people in the Strength card are more motivated and inspired in their Leo nature of self to kind of be more about themselves and those things of the world. That is their truth. And for people where that's not their truth, it can be hard to kind of wrap your brain around it. Because if other people are motivated and inspired by love, and that's like high vibe Leo energy, I've gotten out of my more immature, egoic, or defensive nature. I've maybe offered myself love and been inspired to love myself, to work through those issues that I might have dealt with in the past. The Five of Pentacles can be that other things that I worked towards in my life at one point in time maybe didn't work out the way I wanted, or other people left, or I left, or maybe people in a more shadowy Taurus energy. Again, we come in contact with all these different people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And a more worldly, shadowy energy can be where it is more about those things of the world. And it can be abundant in a lot of those ways, but we can still feel kind of left out in the cold. And it doesn't, it's like, why doesn't this feel like as abundant? Because we have the maximum of 10 in every suit. And so we have like our Five of Pentacles nature, in our high vibe nature, and our worldly nature. And we could have met a lot of our wants and needs and things that we wanted to manifest from this more worldly viewpoint. And sometimes we were really motivated and inspired by those things. And, that is a phase of life we go through. And, we want to. The Leo energy can talk about looking victorious and successful. Taurus energy, we could have a job, friendships, relationships, and in a lot of ways it seems to be all those things that we wanted. And we can go through that phase of life, and we're still ready to keep moving forward in the Wheel of Fortune, because that wasn't just the end goal. It makes me think of people who, they want to get married, and then it's like, well, why do you want to be married? Well, because I want to be married. But, even if they are in a relationship and going to get married to someone, it's almost more, like I want that in my life or to accomplish that task, but they maybe aren't, and everybody can have their idea of what they think that's going to look like. But are we willing in the Wheel of Fortune to keep going with the flow? That's not the end goal in itself. Just like, oh, I want to have a job. Well, why do you want a job? Because I want a job. Well, if that's just your end goal, do you expect when you have a job that you're going to have to be inspired in the Strength card to temper your ego, or be willing to learn lessons in life, and it's not going to be more about you? And some people don't get that. If they harness a more shadowy Aries Leo energy and a more shadowy Capricorn Taurus energy, they could be kind of people that are hard to work with, because they could be a little full of themselves, could be a little prideful. You should be blessed that I work here or that I'm in a relationship with you, but I don't have any lessons to learn, and needless, they justify within themselves thinking that way, and then they think people should be willing to work with them, even if they are kind of bossy or stubborn or manipulative or prideful or egotistical. They just are not enlightened to the truth about maybe some ways of being that they have, or getting in a job or a friendship or a relationship more for the ego and the image, and it's a little bit more about themselves and how it benefits them. Your Aries energy is about the self. Well, some people grow up and mature themselves, but other people really haven't. They still really think it's just really more about them. imbalance. They're tipped out of balance where it's just more about them and they think it should be more about them and that's how they view life and other people should view life like that and other people should make their life more about them. I was just like, oh my God, you are clueless. So then we have the Five of Swords and two cards that aren't showing themselves. Some people right now could be trying to move something forward, and the Five of Swords is Aquarius energy, air sign energy. I have a dream. They want to move forward, and they could look to getting a new job, a new friendship, a new relationship as being the answer to their problems, to maybe help them heal. The Five of Swords comes after the Four of Swords, which is either we did do the work to get balance within ourselves and deal with the truth of some situations, or we kind of thought about those things for a while, but then we decided, I have an idea. I'm going to go do this instead. I'm going to go indulge in these things of the world. That'll make me feel better. I'm going to go get a different job. That's the answer. I'm going to go get in a different relationship. That's the answer. And, people can look to a lot of things in the world to be the answer to their problems. They could be people who have a lot of mental conflict. They could want these things that they want, but they just still haven't seen the truth that it's not just about them. If you're going to work together with other people, they have their dreams, aspirations, and goals, and things that they dreamed of wanting to accomplish, and you have yours, and you're supposed to work together. And some people, that causes them mental conflict because they really like it to be more about them. And you should let me either be bossy or controlling or prideful or manipulative or stubborn or whatever. And shadowy Aquarius can be people that anyone can harness that energy, where they just kind of think it's more about them. Again, I'm the star of the show. Other people, you should temper your ego. And you should learn lessons. And you should see the truth that it's more about me. But they could be trying to move forward. Some people with an Aquarius. Some people with a Leo. Some people with an air sign, a Capricorn, or a Taurus. But when we're moving forward with people, we can always have difficult periods, right? And the fives and the sevens can represent those kind of difficult times in life. We had an idea, we took a new job, we got in a friendship, a relationship, we could be attracted to people. But is our truth the same? How do we want to move forward in the next phase of working together in some regard? Are we on the same page? So again, in the Two of Swords, we can feel stuck. In the Three of Swords, we can meet someone we want to move forward with. In the Four of Swords, everything can seem to be going great, and it can go great for quite a while. But then we kind of, things don't stay stagnant. Things change. Things move forward over time. And are we willing to work still cooperatively with people? And are we willing to detach and kind of see the truth of kind of what needs to go and what should stay? And is everybody kind of willing to kind of see some things about themselves that maybe aren't conducive to things moving forward in a more stable, grounded way, in a more authentic way, in a more loving way, a just and fair way? And then we have to wonder about, are we kind of on the same page? And, again, there might be some problems because with some of the people in our life, again, we harness these energies differently. And we could wonder why there even could be maybe arguing or fighting or conflict. And it can be because we harness these energies differently and we don't realize it. the Devil, and the Hierophant. So the Hierophant, like the Five of Pentacles, is Taurus energy. The Devil is Capricorn energy. So it could kind of be what our truth is and why the Hierophant of Taurus energy can represent all these institutions of the world, workplaces, friendships, relationships, marriage. Well, why do we want to be in those relationships? The Devil can represent that some people are willing to face their fears and their self-limiting beliefs, because the Devil can represent all those things that try to limit us, restrict us, imprison us, our pride, our ego, our fear, our insecurity, our self-limiting beliefs. High vibe energy, represented by high vibe Taurus, represented by God at the big picture, is to have some hope and faith and belief in yourself. In high vibe Aquarius, look at life from a higher perspective. Keep things in perspective so you don't get too much up in your head and in your fear or all those things. And keep things in perspective. Keep focused on truth and love. We all have, in the Devil card, our own fears, our own insecurities, our own self-limiting beliefs, our more fear of change. You know, because the Devil can represent, too, that it kind of challenges our belief system of a way that we had of viewing life. And we have to overcome that if we're going to kind of keep moving forward in our life. Otherwise, we kind of get caught up in those fears or our stubborn nature, our prideful nature, our immature nature. And instead of the Hierophant, where you kind of grow to your full potential, you kind of keep moving forward in a little more not growing to your full potential and maybe just still making your life more about being more motivated and inspired by these things of the world and the stability or the security or being in a relationship or having a job, but not really standing up for what you really believe in. You know, and that would be high vibe Leo. We have to, and that's a process of becoming, you know, to really kind of be inspired to live your more authentic truth. But, you know, you got to learn what your truth is first. So, you know, you got all these life experiences you've got to go through. And at these different phases of our life, just like when we were 15 or when we were 18 or when we were 21, we faced our fears to move on from an old phase of life. I'm not going to keep acting like a 15-year-old. I'm going to face my fears. I believe I am ready to move forward in the world a little differently. And that's when we shed and work through kind of our fears of believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams. And instead of going back and forth about it, we offer ourselves that love and encouragement to believe in ourselves. We are not going to let our more codependent nature or fearful nature or whatever stop us. And we're going to take action on our truth. And in Aries energy, we are taking this action. And whatever people's truth is, if I'm more about my pride and my ego and I want to be in a relationship because I have these fears or insecurities or codependencies, or I just want a job, you know, if those things that I could get into seem like they would provide me what I want and what my end goal is, you know, they could be a little more inspired by fear, insecurity, pride, ego, lust, greed. And that's what those people are going to take action on, because that's kind of their truth at this point in time. And other people are like, you know, I've already been there and I've done that in my life from the time I was 15 to whatever age I am now. And I'm not going, in a more shadowy energy, be more tempted in my more shadowy Capricorn Taurus energy to make my life more about these things of the world. it's kind of, well, we don't have it, but I'm wondering if it'll come out. Maybe at the end we're going to ask the outcome for people. But, to come out with the Ace of Swords, some people work through all their, kind of how they deceive and manipulate themselves, and how other people in their world can try to deceive and manipulate them, and kind of getting to the truth of it. Could there be people I could work with or be in a friendship or relationship with? Would it seem by worldly standards like I'm moving forward, like I've healed, I've changed, I've grown, I've matured, or look stable and abundant in a lot of ways? Sure. But would it be a more... The Devil card in regular tarot looks just like the Lover's card, except the people have chains and shackles on them. It's somehow oppressive and restrictive and confining. Like, be inspired to be in this relationship more because of like your fear and your insecurity and your ego. Don't be inspired. High Vibe Leo is also represented by the sun. Do not be inspired by the truth that it should be just and fair and authentic and loving and supportive and encouraging. That's like the devil trying to tempt us with all these things of the world. This is good. You should just do this. You could have it all. You would look like, we'll pay you more if it's a job, blah, blah, blah. But there's something about it that's kind of shadowy. And it's like, well, you're bossy, or you're controlling, or you're prideful, or you're immature, or I can't live my more authentic life because that's stepping outside your comfort zone, and you don't live your more authentic life, so you don't want me to live my more authentic life. And shadowy, worldly energy can be, you should conform to the world. You should act like this. You should dress like this. You should talk to these people, not those people. You should attend these functions regularly. Don't go to those other functions. And it's all this thing like, can I not just live my authentic life? And if I want to talk to certain people or attend certain functions or not attend certain functions or participate in certain things, I get to live my more authentic life. And it's like, well, no, the people of the world tell us that, and it's like all these invisible rules that people have, but somewhere, it kind of got impressed upon them. And that is our own Taurus energy. Why do I think the way I think? Why do I think I should do this and not do this? High vibe people just want to live their authentic life. I have no interest in trying to cause people inner conflict. I'm trying to go out in the world and be authentic and encouraging and loving to people. But I get to live my own authentic life. And the things I go do participate in, and the people I go do talk to, it's because I want to, and I want to maybe get to know them. Or maybe we have some things in common, and other people could be like, oh no, you can't do that. You need to act like this and talk to these people. It's just like, oh my gosh, Anyway, they can get really caught up in their head. And also, high vibe energy is about being more independent. And the Five of Pentacles, we can have people that we've worked with in our life in the Three of Pentacles, our friends, our family members, our adult children, our parents, people in our neighborhood, people at work. Are they kind of willing to work cooperatively with us and keep kind of moving forward? And some people are like, well, I was willing to be in a relationship with you so long as we did it like this. That we never stepped outside my comfort zone. And the next cards are the Hangman and the Fool, which I also view as Aries energy. And the reason is because of the Three of Pentacles. We get in relationships, we take a job, and then it's like, is it going to go to the next phase? If I was inspired and motivated, and I took maybe a job, and people were like, oh yes, you should come work for us, and lots of opportunities here, and we're really loving and encouraging and supportive, and you'll have these opportunities in the Fool card to maybe learn new things. You won't keep doing the same thing over and over. It's kind of like, you'll take this job if that's what they promised you, and then you'll learn things, and then we'll see how that goes. And then if that seems like you're ready to move forward, and then you can train someone else in at that stage and you're ready to learn more. And some people are kind of motivated and inspired like that in jobs that they get, right? Well, I've already kind of learned this job. I could do this part. I mean, it could have been confusing when I started, but I kind of got it down now, and it's kind of not a challenge. And people who are kind of motivated and inspired to use their unique talent, skills, and interest and intellect, and air sign energy can be your mind and your intellect, and the earth signs could represent these unique talent, skills, and interests that you have. I'm kind of ready in the Fool card to go to that next stage. And then sometimes you get in a job and they're like, oh, did we say that? Oh, no, we're just going to keep moving forward like this. And it's like, huh. And so you might feel some mental conflict because you could feel in the Devil card that, maybe people kind of tempted you to take, and the same thing can kind of correlate to a relationship, right? That people kind of weren't really, they were hiding because these cards weren't showing themselves. They presented themselves one way, but emotionally, since that's a feminine figure, they presented themselves one way, male or female, but they emotionally, the truth could have been that they want you to move forward with them, but they want to hide that they are kind of shadowy or manipulative or bossy or controlling, or they're really not going to bring that dream into reality. They have their own idea of how they want this to move forward. And then you move forward, and the Hangman can talk about that you feel stuck. Well, anything that we kind of put work and effort into, Taurus is fixed sign energy, Leo is fixed sign energy. We put work and effort to make things work. And eventually we could wonder, like in the Five of Swords, we kind of want to move something forward. It's like, why isn't this moving forward? Why isn't the dream coming into reality? And the Devil can mean that we could be attracted to someone. We're ready to face our fears to move forward, maybe in a more formal commitment, take on more responsibility. And we're doing that work within ourselves. And we could be doing work within ourselves to kind of look at life differently, is what the Hangman can talk about. Trying to look at things from other people's perspectives, working through our own fears and insecurities and self-learning beliefs to expand our perception of ourselves and how we view the world and what we believe is possible, and keep having kind of in the Fool card that hopeful, believing nature, and continuing to be inspired to work together with people to keep moving things forward. But a problem can be if things never kind of keep moving forward. And that's when we could kind of realize, and the Hangman can talk about kind of being illuminated to the truth, that I'm kind of ready to go on that new journey, is what the Fool can talk about. But then I could kind of see that some other people, or the people I'm in a relationship with, could have some fear about moving forward in life differently. And sometimes that is what shadowy people do, right? They know they don't plan to ever step out of their comfort zone, or they know they have ways of being that are kind of shadowy. But of course, they hide that to get people to move forward with them in a relationship. And then when they get those people to move forward with them in the Three of Pentacles, then it's like, perfect, let's stay right here. And then it's a more shadowy fire sign nature within themselves. Like, I want to stay right here. I'm good staying right here. Let's not do things any differently. And it kind of stays dead and stagnant. You never give birth to anything new. And that's when other people start to feel stuck. And it's like, again, people are either being authentic, and they are who they say they are, or they were kind of hiding the fact that they might have some fears, some insecurities, might be a little full of themselves, like to be in a relationship. It's good for their ego or their image. They have someone, male or female, in however way they kind of benefit from being in it. And they want to keep moving forward like that. And sometimes other people are like, well, either the relationship grows and matures over time, or it doesn't. And I do want to be in relationships that grow and mature over time. And if I'm in a relationship with someone who it seems like wants to emotionally keep repeating this pattern over and over and over and just keep moving forward like that, well, that wasn't my idea of how I thought this was going to go. And that's not maybe my idea of the dream job, dream friendship, dream relationship. And are you willing to see things from my perspective, or are you not? Is it really just more about what you wanted? But people count on the fact that if I can get you in it, you'll have mental conflict about getting out of it. Because again, if we get a job, we'd like that job to work out. If we're in a friendship or relationship, we'd like those things to work out. And some people right now might have a lot of mental conflict about something they're involved in. And right now, some of those people could feel stuck because the truth in the Ace of Swords sets us free. Did I speak my truth? Have I been loving and encouraging and supportive and working together with people cooperatively? Am I coming from a place of not being more selfish or greedy or more about myself or stubborn or prideful, but from a trying to work together with people in a just and fair way, in truth and justice and fairness? But we can still be fearful of taking that leap of faith and detaching from something or a way of living life or something, right? Or leaving a job or whatever. And some people are at that stage in their life right now. And things can be a little bit being bold and brave and confident enough to speak your truth and live your truth, and worried a little bit maybe about the ego or your image. That's kind of the more worldly of what would people say and what would people think. Some people did take action more out of pride and ego and lust and greed and codependency. And, when we're kind of in shadowy energy, odds are we're going to push away people who are a little more emotionally mature or stable or grounded or whatever. And we're probably going to get in relationships with some people that are in their own shadowy energy, right? And we could have thought that was going to be, that it was all going to work out. And pride comes before the fall, right? And so we move forward in those things, and then we can feel stuck, and we can kind of feel foolish because we didn't maybe listen to our intuition. We didn't, Leo energy can talk about tempering our ego. We didn't kind of temper our lust or our greed or our pride or our ego or our fears. And we got ourselves into something, and that's kind of the consequence. That, well, now, we had the free will to move forward in whatever way we wanted. And sometimes we kind of got caught up in some things and, maybe didn't make the best decision because we didn't realize how these certain things of the world or our life or within us kind of influence us. And part of going on that whole journey was, to kind of realize we kind of went down the wrong path and now you're stuck. Well, now what are you going to do? And then that's when you kind of become illuminated, like, oh shit, that wasn't a good idea? No, that was not a good idea. That isn't the answer to my problems. No, that is not the answer to your problems. Shit. Well, then what are you going to do? Some people have been juggling the truth. They have been kind of operating from their pride and ego or whatever. And they kept thinking, oh, I'm sure this will work out okay. And they could have a lot of mental conflict because they got themselves in some type of relationship where there can be love there, but again, the devil talks about there's something about it that it's either not loving and encouraging, people aren't being authentic, people are in it for the wrong reasons, someone's being kind of shadowy and bossy and controlling or egotistical or manipulative, and are we willing to get out of our ego to see that, if we take action and we act with character and integrity, that's high vibe Taurus, we temper our ego nature, we offer people truth and love, and we can finally get to the point that I feel like I have done everything I can do. And now I feel like when I felt stuck, I decided to be inspired, to offer love and encouragement and truth and love. And then it's on the other people to work through some of their issues to decide if they want to keep moving forward with me in that way. And if they don't, because shadowy energy can want to be staying in denial of the truth and it keeps us stuck. I don't want to feel stuck anymore. No more being in denial of the truth. So I do everything I feel I can. If other people don't seem to want to move forward with me in that way, then I wish them peace. But I don't want to keep doing this, but you do. And it might work for you, it doesn't work for me. So I wish you peace, and I'm going to take the lessons I learned from this life experience, and I'm going to wish you peace and love and joy, and I'm going to move on. And some people are doing that. Some other people are watching other people do that, but they're still like, no, I'm sure this will work. And maybe they're just at that stage of trying to, I'm going to put into practice this. And they're just on this journey of, holding themselves to a higher standard and kind of doing everything they think they can. And then if they decide, okay, now I feel like there is no longer staying in denial of the truth, and I don't want to keep doing this, so I'm going to wish them peace, and I'm going to move on. And everybody has to listen to their own intuition about when they feel ready, and everybody has to work through their own fears and insecurities of, high vibe Taurus is like adhering to a higher truth and justice. By worldly standards, could this all seem just and fair? And if I kept moving forward in it, would a lot of people probably think, oh, gee, what a just and fair and balanced and stable or abundant life they have? Yeah, maybe. But I could know the truth that kind of what drives and motivates us is different. And this might be their idea of the dream life, but it's not my idea of the dream life. Living maybe where it is more about these things, or having to live more from my mind than my heart, or indulge someone in their immature behavior, or prideful, or manipulative, or bossy, or controlling ways of being. No, I'm not. I have my free will, and I had to do this work to love and believe in myself, to listen to that higher truth, get out of my head about what other people are going to think. because really people are going to think what they think more based on the type of person they are than anything. And I'm going to go take that leap of faith to go live my authentic life. And some people already did detach, and then it's kind of transmuting the energy and working through it. So you kind of get out of your ego about it. I accept this isn't working out the way I had wanted. I could have distanced myself from some people, and I see that they're not taking action to work together with me, so I got to work through my ego about that. Get out of my more codependent nature, heal, do this work within myself to keep loving and believing in myself and not give up my dreams, because sometimes, in this world of duality, high vibe energy wants us to keep giving birth to new things in a way and growing and healing and maturing ourselves, and the devil doesn't. And sometimes if the devil can't stop you, the devil will try to use people that you're in a relationship with and tempt them more in their prideful nature, immature nature, or whatever, hoping if they can get them tangled up, it'll keep you stuck also. And it's like, no, that is something for them to work through, and I'm going to keep moving forward anyway. My dreams can only come into reality with people who are working together with me to bring that dream into reality. And this might have just highlighted something I hadn't wanted to see the truth of. But because some people were more tempted in their more shadowy nature, and that could be going on right now, until some future date where they become enlightened to the truth, and then if they want to communicate with me, maybe we can reconcile, between friends, family, friends, and if it's a romantic interest, you got to decide that at that future point in time. But in the meantime, I'm not going to let it keep me stuck. And sometimes more shadowy people, that is their intention. When we were in the relationship, I thought we both viewed life this way, and we all could have viewed life that way. For probably the first 30, 40 years of our life, we're pretty caught up in the world. We're pretty motivated and inspired by these things of the world that we want to manifest. And some people never had any intention of doing life other than that. But if other people work through some of the things that cause them mental conflict and some of their past pain and heartbreak and some of their self-limiting beliefs, they were enlightened to the truth and they became more inspired to make their life about more than just those things and to free themselves from things that manipulated them and be more authentically themselves. And that's when other people, the fives, can talk about change and conflict. Well, you've changed. You're not the same person you were. I don't like that. Because now you want to move forward in life differently. And I wanted to do life like this. And then in order to move forward with you, then I'd maybe have to work through some of my issues. And I'd maybe have to be more inspired to look at life differently and work through some of my fears and insecurities or self-limiting beliefs and quit making my life more about these things of the world or me or these things that we indulge in to make ourselves feel better. And that all takes work and effort. And some people are like, do I want to do that? Don't I want to do that? And some of those people are like, no, you can go. I'm going to keep doing this. And then they go keep doing that. And the people in their life that hope that they would choose in their free will to work together with them and try to see things from their perspective and work through their mental conflict, and they didn't. So then we got to work through our fears and insecurities and ego nature. And, it kind of can come down to a battle of wills in a way. They have their truth, you have your truth. And a little more shadowy people, if they are kind of they have things that manipulate them, and it could be, their pride and ego could manipulate them. They could look very successful in some way in the world. The Leo can be shining bright. The Aries can be attractive or charming. The Earth sign can be that people have status and image. And this Aquarius can be that they kind of look like a shining star in the world in some way. Maybe just look, to a degree, stability, security, charming or attractive or whatever, right? And they could think that you're a fool. You have got it made. All you have to do is kind of make it a little bit more about me. And you're a fool for having hope and faith and belief and love. Good luck finding someone who's willing to temper their ego and do love and not be more about themselves. Because that's how they can view the world, that everybody's just kind of out for themselves. Everybody's wearing a false mask. Everybody's trying to manipulate other people. Because they could hide that they have these kind of toxic views of the world and of relationships, but not everybody does. And they could have a hard time wrapping their brain around that because that's their truth. And as some people are moving forward and they're having these new beginnings and they're not taking some action like they're taking, like operating more out of their pride and their ego and playing maybe the victim and trying to get other people in a relationship with them out of more ego or status or image or money or something. And you're moving forward with people in your life who work together with you cooperatively from love. They're like, they could just think you're doing a better job at putting on a show and manipulating people than they are. And they wonder how you're doing such a good job and how you're doing it. But what they don't get with these cards not showing themselves is you're not juggling the truth. You are who you say you are. You're motivated and inspired to work together with people in truth and love and justice and fairness. You don't have a more toxic way of being in relationships to try to manipulate and control people. You try to move forward in truth and love. And other people see the truth of that and they want to work together with you. So you can see where some more people who rely more on these worldly traits or characteristics that they have, and they can't understand why some people are maybe stuck on you or would like to work with you and why they don't want to work with them. It's like, well, the high vibe people are inspired by truth and love and they're authentic and they're loving and they're encouraging. The other people might present themselves as loving and nurturing and inspired and stable and grounded and all those things, and like they act with character and integrity. But other people kind of listen to their intuition about them, and it's like, I don't really think that's authentically who you are. I think it is, again, more of a mask that you wear or a way you present yourself. But I kind of think, your whole why you're motivated to do what you're motivated by is more about these other reasons: the ego, the image, the status, you. And it's not really about trying to see things from other people's perspective and working together with them cooperatively, being inspired by love and willing to be more independent of your more shadow nature and the world and your ego and anyone else in the world to go live your more authentic life. And there's some people that are back in those type of jobs and friendships and relationships with some people and places that you've already moved on from, and they're going through the same issues, some of them. Damn, these people weren't who I thought they were. Dang, they're kind of manipulative. Dang, they're kind of stubborn. Dang, they're kind of immature. But, then it's hard because we already kind of got more involved in it before we really kind of got to know the truth of what kind of more drove and motivated them. And then are we willing to speak our truth and stand up for ourselves? Some will, some won't. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Aries energy that they might not see coming? My goodness, that's too many. No. 2 or 3 or 4 at the maximum. Not 8. Okay, well, we have these cards that turn their back. So we're going with this card, the King of Cups. Why? Because of the Page of Swords. So the King of Cups I view as Cancer energy. And the reason it came out is because of the Page of Swords. In your air sign energy of yourself, you have your more hopeful, believing inner child nature that wants you to take action from love. And because you are inspired to stand up for your inner child nature that wants to move forward with people who take action from love, you realized you had to do that within yourself because it starts within ourselves first. I need to align with that energy within myself. I need to quit juggling the truth. I need to quit going back and forth. I need to deal with the truth. If there are people that seem to have mental conflict about working together with me cooperatively and moving forward with me, I need to accept the truth of that. If there's people in my life who I know could be being bossy or manipulative or stubborn, trying to prove a point, trying to make me feel left out in the cold, make me think that my dreams can only come into reality with them, but their idea of the dream life is different than mine, my dream can't come into reality with them anyway. Because we go about things completely different. High vibe people offer truth and love to people. And the shadowy people want to go about it a different way. I want to tempt you in your lust or your greed or your fear or your insecurity or your pride or your ego. And if none of those things work, I'm going to be stubborn and prideful and not work together with you until you're willing to do it the way I want. And high vibe people are like, I'm offering you truth and love. If that isn't what drives and motivates you, then I wish you peace. And the Page of Swords can be like a simple message, energetic simple message. I am standing up for truth and love, and apparently you're more inspired by your ego. So I wish you peace, and I'm moving on. And I think as you are moving forward, the pages can mean that you're being authentic. You're not being defensive or bossy with people. You're just trying to work together with people in a just and fair way, motivated and inspired to work together with people from love. I think as you do that, other people could be attracted to you, could want to move forward with you, but, they have to work through their own issues of maybe speaking their truth and taking that leap of faith. And other people in your life are moving forward with you in that way, will keep maybe moving forward with you in that way. You're going to meet new people who don't have this difficulty and they're already moving forward in that way. And as you move forward, you'll meet other people like you. And we quit investing our time, energy, and effort into the people who have already shown us that's not their truth. Okay. Hope it works out. I'm going to move on. You chose to love your own inner child nature and invest in taking action to work and put in work and effort to bring your dreams into reality. And that's what you're focusing your time and energy into out of love for yourself. And working together with people who want to work together with you, being authentic. And I think there's other people, we're either being a good role model for people, offering people truth and love to move forward with us in that energy. And there's other people kind of going about things in a more shadowy way, trying to get people to follow their truth. It's like God trying to get people to follow their truth, and more worldly shadowy energy trying to get people to follow their truth. What is your truth? So what's coming up for people who might harness a little more worldly shadowy Aries energy that they don't see coming? Well, we have some cards coming out in reverse. The Six of Wands, the Empress, the Two of Cups, the High Priest, which is like the Hierophant. What they don't see coming, and the reason is because of the Ace of Swords. Well, when people act kind of shadowy in some way, or lazy, or prideful, or something, right? They're always going to have more high vibrational people in their life who have wanted to work together with them. Friends, family, children, parents, colleagues, whoever, that are trying to work together with them. But eventually people see the truth. So let's go look at what these cards would be in the upright. It's kind of easier to see. Some people have been offering love and encouragement to people because they want to give birth to, in the Two of Cups, love, to act with character and integrity and maybe move a relationship forward where everybody is motivated and inspired to put in work and effort to maintain balance within themselves, to act with character and integrity, being inspired by love. But some of the shadowy people are like, well, I don't want to move forward like that. I don't want, the Empress can talk about giving birth to something new. I don't want to give birth to anything new. I don't align with my more high vibrational Cancer Taurus energy of my philosophy of life isn't really about love. I'm kind of more about me and my ego and my image, and I hide from people that I might have fear of commitment, fear of love, fear of putting in work and effort. I mean, that is so weird, which is something that sometimes comes up in tarot. It is this weird dynamic, I think, where people are like, well, what if I were to be truthful and authentic and then it didn't work out? Like as if they'd be mad at themselves that they were truthful and authentic and loving. Like that would really get them up in their pride and ego. And it's just like, how about you be proud of yourself that you did work together with people in character and integrity and love. You can be proud of yourself that you were authentic and loving and encouraging. But for some people, it's just like, I would be too much up in my ego about the fact that I let my more authentic nature out to play, and then they got hurt, or somebody was defensive to me or something. It's just like, oh my God. Anyway, they're not willing to get out of their more egoic nature. They have a way of viewing life that they think is just and fair, and they kind of have a philosophy of life that other people maybe can't relate to. And other people kind of see the truth that, I don't get it. I don't understand, in your Taurus philosophy of life, these things that kind of go on in your head that get you maybe all caught up in your head, or make you so full of yourself, or something, I don't know. Or have fear of stepping out of your comfort zone at all. Kind of makes me think, which I talked about in a reading once, that, at every kind of these different stages of life, we can get to be like we're kind of the top dog. When you were the 6th grader in elementary, when you were the 9th grader in junior high, when you were the senior in 12th grade, but then when, say, you complete all those phases of life, you kind of go down to entry level again at the next phase of life. And that can be why some people, high vibe energy is willing to be a student of life, and that can kind of represent the pages. And some people are like, well, I'm not willing to try something new. I'm just going to do this because I'm like top dog here. And if I keep doing this, then I stay in top dog position. So it could be like people who had an opportunity to go to a different job, but, or get, finish, they like keep living their senior year in high school like the rest of their life, And they just don't ever want to step out of their comfort zone. And other people can see the truth of it, and other people are not going to keep moving forward with them. And they're not going to stay stuck with them. This might be how they want to live their life. And then eventually, the people who will keep staying in a relationship with them are other people who are also maybe not illuminated to the truth that it is supposed to be about love, because they are so caught up in that they have a certain status or image, and people should want to be their friend, and people should view them a certain way, and people should want to be in a relationship with them. And they don't even want to see the truth that it is more that they think these things of the world is what is valuable, because that's what they make valuable. Other high vibe people have some of those same traits, characteristics, and assets, but they don't think that's what makes them valuable. They know what makes them valuable is that they're a loving and encouraging and supportive and authentic person with people. And some other people just don't get that. Well, I have what they have. Why aren't those people wanting to be in a relationship with me? And because you don't seem to want to grasp the truth that you have this shadowy philosophy of life and relationships with people that could be kind of boring. Because if you're not aligned with your more creative, inspired, hopeful, believing, loving nature, it's like all those things that were given to you that you could use as gifts and build upon. They only want to use them from the more base worldly nature. Yeah, I got emotions. Yeah, I got my sexuality. Yeah, I have my creativity. I have my mind. But I don't develop them to their full potential. I use them as I need to use them to manipulate people to get what I want. I don't want to invest in them more. So long as I have these certain things, I'm good. And other people are like, I want more than just those certain things. I really want a more inspiring, creative, inspired job, life, relationship. And other people are like, no, because that would mean I'd have to let go of being more inspired by my more egoic or defensive nature. And I'm not willing to do that. So there you go, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.